and welcome to Citizen Speak. I'm your host, Garrett Martin. Thank you for listening today. This is going to be my final post on the Syrian refugees for at least a week. I don't know if you've been following me on Twitter or not, but I've been kind of on a tirade about that. And it's time to move on to something different, something a little bit more refreshing. And hopefully we can get a little bit more faith restored back in humanity on the next subject I talk about. But with that said, I mean, if you look at any of the commentary on either side of the aisle, whether it's conservative or liberal, and you'll see just the most horseshoe comments of all, where we have to let them in and we shouldn't have any security on them, or we shouldn't ever let them in and we should have massive security on them and only let Christians in. This is ridiculous. We shouldn't be turning these people away, for the first thing. And I'm not saying that we just let them into our country and do whatever they need. No. They are coming from a war-torn land. And there needs to be proper steps taken. It's not just a simple, let them in and that'll be that. But what needs to happen is that there needs to be refugee camps. And in those refugee camps, there needs to be close eye on security there. There have been ISIS or terrorists from other groups that have snuck in with refugees, and we saw that in Paris. And granted, it was only 2 of the attackers were part of the ISIS organization that were in the refugees, but that's still too many. However, you can't look at them and go, hey, nope, we're not taking any Muslim refugees. Only good Christian refugees. Well, that's kind of an ignorant statement to say. And that's what Ted Cruz had said. But what's to stop them from going, oh, nope, no, I'm a Christian. I believe full-heartedly in Jesus. He's my savior. What's to stop somebody from ISIS doing that? If they know that's what you're going to do, they're going to know that you're going to ask some questions about it to know the type of answers that you're looking for. So, completely ridiculous that you have somebody who's a presidential nominee, well, candidate for the Republicans, who wants to let only in the Christians. And there's a lot of people who support that idea. They say that only the Christians should come in. Well, we're in this predicament because the world has been treating the Muslims, when we go to war with them, as second-class citizens or close to dogs. And that's how we've had ISIS created, is we go in there, we tear up their land, and we say, oh, no, we're going to give you support, and we pull the rug right out from underneath their feet. And then that creates this huge vacuum, and then you have terrorist organizations that are born. It's the reason why Al-Qaeda is the way that it is. We trained them to fight the Russians, and then we were giving them food and humanitarian aid and weapons and training. And then all of a sudden we go, all right, the Russians are done. So are we. We're not helping you out anymore. And then they were forced to watch their families starve to death. They had become dependent on us in that time, and we left them without any clue of where to go from there. So then you have a radical group like Al-Qaeda who started up, and then ISIS was a part of Al-Qaeda as well. And then in late 2012 or early 2013, they split off. ISIS did. And then they started wreaking havoc because there was a vacuum created. There was a lot of lawlessness, and they took advantage of it. And, we need to stop doing what we've been doing. We need to break that cycle. And it's just a continuation of failed policies and a continuation of failed ways of thinking. We know that treating a group of people wrongly over a long period of time is going to create extremists. If we had this caliber of Americans during World War II, I tell you what, we probably would be treating the Jews just as equally. Saying, oh no, we can't let in any Jews or any refugees from Europe because if we do, there could be Nazis amongst those ranks and they could come and infiltrate our government or they could attack us here. Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who would have turned away the Jewish people from the Holocaust. And these people are saying that, oh, no, I don't want my kids to be attacked. Nobody wants your kids to be attacked. We want a safe America. But we also have to understand that America is built on principle that because we have so much, we're able to help those others. And I get it, there's veterans who are sleeping in the streets. There's homeless people that aren't veterans that don't have the care that they need. There's people who don't have health care and they need health care. There's a lot of things that we need to do to protect our people here at home. We've had ample amount of time to fix that. Every single time that we fix that, the same exact goddamn people who are saying that we shouldn't accept the refugees always vote and speak against helping the poor people and helping the people who actually need it here in our country. So don't you sit there in your ivory goddamn tower and tell me that you're thinking about Americans here at home when all the other times when we're talking about those same Americans, you're talking against them. You're saying that they need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. You got to be kidding me. But, we can go on forever about this topic. And I honestly really enjoy talking about it. It's been the most interesting thing that I've done all week. And that's saying something. So, all right. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Garrett Martin, here at Citizen Speak. Thank you for liking and commenting on this podcast. Make sure you share it with your friends if you enjoy it. Or find me on Twitter at CitSpeak.